you have to go somewhere where nobody knows your name for at least a year before you come into the family business. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to realize the opportunity that you have in front of you.
Welcome to the Business Builder Way podcast, where we help business builders grow leadership skills and wisdom and stay grounded through hero stories. So let's get after it. Hey, Spencer Howell, welcome to the Business Builder Way podcast. Really good to have you here.
Awesome. Thank you, Wayne. Pleasure to be here. This is my first podcast, as we talked about earlier, and I'm excited.
Super. So this round or this season, we're working to produce some episodes that will allow new members and business builders to get to know you and the others, and also to help people that are thinking about joining business builders to know who you are and what kind of person they'll be interacting with, because our members are so important to the group and to the program, and it is how people grow. So I'm going to ask you this question, which could be really deep, and that would be good, or maybe you take it kind of wide ranging. But who are you and why are you here?
Yeah. So Spencer Howell, currently the president at Howell Rescue Systems, and we're a family business and we're moving on to the third generation. So I work with my sister and my dad, which is a big reason that I'm here, being in a family business, navigating not only business relationships, but family relationships as well, which Wayne has helped me a tremendous amount with. So super blessed for that. So before I started my business venture, I majored in business at college. I was also a baseball player. And directly after college, I went into a program called AmeriCorps. And easiest way to sum it up is it's local Peace Corps in the US. So working with different nonprofits, ended up doing modeling firefighting through that. So did that for 2 years. And the reason I ended up leaving that and coming back is because my dad was going through a lot of stress in the business and wanted me to dip my toes in it and see if it could be a possibility for me. And so I came back, didn't really dip my toes in it, jumped 2 feet first. And my dad's a tremendous guy. I'm super lucky. The business he's built up, he took it from his father, my grandfather, and took it from really just a small business that was trying to help out his own fire department. Howell Rescue Systems, we're a distributor for fire equipment, and 99% of our customers are fire departments. And he took really, it was barely even a business and turned it into a close to $20 million business. And through doing that, he was number one salesman. Always a great salesman, still is. If you get in a room with him, he'll tell you stories, tell you how great everything is, and will convince you that he's the right guy to go with. And he usually is. He's built great relationships in the business. So kind of moving forward, it got to a point to where it kind of outgrew his leadership style. And I knew that. So I love learning from my dad, and he's a tremendous guy. But the business got to a point where it was at a size where it needed kind of that next level leadership. And I got connected with a guy called Tom Rubens, and he's more of a culture coach. And I met with him for about 3 months, and we got to a point where it was kind of a mutual of, all right, we did about as much as we can with each other. And he recommended me to you, Wayne Herring. And from there, me and Wayne have been working together. It's gone by in a blink of an eye, but we've been together for about a year and 4 months now. So that's kind of the gist of why I'm here.
Great. And we'll dig out a few pieces there. But one thing that I'd like to ask you about is I believe that business owners, who we call business builders or entrepreneurs, same. I believe whether it's our group or somebody else's, it is helpful to have a group of peers that you meet with. And so in our program specifically, we have our weekly virtual mastermind groups, smaller groups, 7, 8 business owners. And then we also have our live events where we get together and spend, depending on the event, 2 or 3 days together. And we're spending it together, and you're also stepping back from the day to day and getting time to go, be intentional. And then the other thing we have is a rhythm and a process with our 120-day plan, filling out that sheet and reflecting on all aspects of life and business, your personal stuff. How happy are you with fitness and health and your home and your family and relationships and all those things, right? So it's the other people, it's the rhythm, it's the 120-day process, and some coaching from me too. So whether it's our group or somebody else's, like, what is your experience of being in a group like this been? And what would you say to other business owners as far as getting out of their own personal world, joining something like this? How's it helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I I'm lucky enough that when I was in AmeriCorps, I was just taken to a world of uncomfortability. So for me, it was pretty easy to jump into this group. I'm a younger business builder, and I've also always been a routine guy. Like when I was in AmeriCorps, waking up at 5:30, working out, then doing the work day, then we all eat together. There's a routine there. And coming over to the business a little bit more about coming in with my dad was that he had somewhat of a structure, but he also loved being unstructured, which for me was a lot and hard to deal with. And coming into business builders, it helped 120-day plans. I'm always doing those. And it's really nice to always come back to because I'm a little bit scatterbrained sometimes. And I just went back to my 120-day plan. I think it was yesterday. And I went, okay, what was I trying to work on? I think it was about 60 days ago now. What was I trying to work on then? Let's stick back to that because it's easy to deviate. I make Guitar Thursday groups pretty much every Thursday. And one of the things that's nice for me as a younger business builder is that I have such a wealth of knowledge from all the guys that are in the group that I get to learn from. It's also really nice too, because I get to give different perspectives on a lot of things because I'm 27 years old and coming into this, I'm definitely one of those people that likes to ask a lot of questions. That's another big reason that I ended up finding business builders as well. That seems to be a great place to be when you want to ask questions and you want to learn more and you're not happy with just asking why and getting one answer. You want to continue to dig deeper. I know in our Thursday groups, we continuously will come back to the same topics and we'll get different answers all the time, which is great because you're always getting different perspectives and the in person meetups. So I've been to three now, and each time I've intentionally came in to those live meetups with something that's going on in our business. And every time I've been able to leave there with taking back a plan. So I've gone in with an idea of what I want to do. And every time when I leave and come with my problems and what's going on in the business and where I'm trying to go, whatever my idea was of what I thought I needed to do going in, never ended up being the idea that I left with, which was great because when you're with people that are also business owners, presidents, CEOs in that place, they've been through a lot of hardships and they've been through a lot of times. What I find out is most of the time somebody's either been through what you're going through or they're going through what you're going through. So
Right.
to be able to ask those questions with those people, I mean, what else do you want from that standpoint?
Yeah, and you do add a whole lot to the group because of your age, and you are our youngest member. So yes, you contribute. Everybody contributes, but you contribute something unique and special. One of our oldest members is, in their 60s, and similarly, they contribute a really unique perspective. And then most of them are more kind of around 50s, like my
Wait,
age.
can I jump in on that real quick?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So one of the things that's been a change of mind from when I first came in to where I'm at now is that when I first came in, it's obvious that I'm the youngest member, right? So it's like, okay, I don't need to prove myself or this or that. I can hang with these 40, 50, business owners, CEOs. And then there's kind of a shift in the mind where it's like, I'm just going to embrace my role of being the younger
Yeah.
business minded guy. It's been amazing because I can also now take that to my team as well. I mean, and you and I talk about this all the time. One of the audibles that you had me listen to is, was it Ego is the Enemy?
Right.
Ego is the enemy.
Yep.
And that process has been huge too. They're doing our TTI. My natural indicator is that I'm high D, which can be really tough for a young leader because it's kind of that balance of I need to be a leader, but I also need to not be so prideful in myself that I can't be wrong. And being in the group, that's been a huge change for me in being with all of the business builders is that it's okay to be wrong because these people that are all more experienced, they're okay with being wrong. They're okay with being where they're at. They're okay with learning. So it's like, okay, let me just embrace where I'm at and then bring that aspect to it. So that's been a great part of being part of business builders is embracing that role.
Yeah. So I never know where these things are going to go for sure. But one of the things that you've done now and that I'm hearing is you're helping to give an outline of how somebody does our program or one like it well. There's a place for consulting for business owners. And we used to take advantage of that in the business I was in with my dad, consulting, where somebody would say, this is exactly how you do Facebook advertising in your industry. One, two, three, four, five. What we do in Mastermind or with coaching is a bit more like it's a partnership where you need to come and do your part as well as the things that I might pour into you. And you said you come to these events with something on your mind and intention. So you're thinking about it ahead of time when you come. And the other piece you said was you went through some of the journey. I know I've been through this as I've joined mastermind groups of like feeling like I need to show up in a certain way. And then realizing one of the gifts of being in a group like this is no, actually, it's okay to just be here and be in the space with other people. And back in your business, you have to be in charge all the time. But this is a place where you come to like soak it in from all angles, almost is what I heard.
Yeah. And through the experience of everybody in the group, embracing that point in life that I'm at because I'm not going to be there again. So you don't have to have all the answers where you're at right now. Embrace that. Number one, you never will, but also you'll not be in the spot that you're at today ever again. So just embrace that because it's a journey.
Yeah.
And I've had so many times where somebody said something and I've been like, I think I'm right. And then somebody else is going, instead of being like, oh, I'm wrong, and then getting upset about it, you start to learn that now just take it in, think about it. You don't have to be right.
So, one of the things in people getting to know you that is important because we are trying to build profitable businesses that serve their communities and give meaningful jobs to people and things like that is it's important to know you said, how rescue and you talked about the generations and that the company has grown into this like $20 million range. And what does it mean? Like what is your business? You've got a brick and mortar in Dayton, Ohio and home of the Wright brothers. And there's a Skyline Chili there, and maybe Cincinnati with Skyline Chili. But you've got this brick and mortar office and distribution center in Dayton. You have one in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania also, and it's sales of rescue tools that help get people out of cars, cutters, spreaders. You're working with both paid fire departments, volunteer fire departments, and who is on your team? Who are the people making all this happen and get all these tools out there and get people trained, et cetera?
Right. So I got to talk about my leadership team first because they've been the biggest reason that this business has been able to grow because in the past 3 years, our business has grown a large amount. And one of the things coming into the business is my leadership style is completely different than my dad's leadership style. And that's because it has to be different because I wasn't here at the beginning of the start of the business. I wasn't here for all of that experience. My dad could manage the business by himself. And that was also a reason that I came to the business builders and I was asking all these questions is because I had to change my leadership style from my dad's. And it also got to a point where my dad's leadership style could no longer work. So we created a leadership team, which we actually changed the name from management to leadership. It was when Wayne was here for our quarterly manager meeting, is what we used to call it. Now it's our quarterly leadership meeting. So we changed that name from management to leadership. And the people who are on that team are Anthony Fleming, who's our VP of sales. He's done a tremendous job. He's the reason that we're in New York City with our tools. He's helped us set up dealers from Maine down to South Carolina. And we had John Curcio on the team as well, who works in the same building as Anthony. He's one of the guys who opened up our mind to we didn't just have to sell rescue tools in our business to be successful. So we started adding new products to Howell Rescue in about 2018. So it's been 5 years now. And that's been one of the big jumps in our revenue is starting to sell some of those other tools.
To the
Then
same people, to the same fire departments.
yeah, exactly. So we started that relationship. And next, I'll talk about Andrew Capellis. His next name is Dude. And for people just hearing that, a lot of people have a hard time comprehending that we call him Dude. And we really do. We call him Dude.
Right.
He's our head of service. And he's been unbelievable with just customer service. He's a very analytical guy. And that's been one of the big reasons of our success at Howell Rescue is our service. Because if there's ever a problem with a customer's tool or setting up service for annual maintenance, I mean, he's on it. And that's what's been easy to be able to sell other products is that we used to just sell Genesis rescue tools and we would go and service. And if they ever had a problem, we're there right away. And that was also easy for our service team because we had one product. So as we've expanded to other products, it's added a little bit more of a challenge, which isn't a bad thing. It's a little bit more complex now, but that's what's allowed us to get into a lot of these departments with our other products that aren't rescue tools is because of the service we've provided, the relationships we've made. Next, I'll talk about is RJ Snyder. He's our director of operations, and he's been a huge guy who's helped us implement a CRM system into our team, making that transition from kind of the old school jot it down on paper to maybe let's all get it in a web based CRM so we can look at live numbers. And then my sister as well, Shelby, she's actually been a huge part of this. She's in charge of Crash Course Village. She's actually she's pregnant and she's due October 27th. So we're kind of preparing for that. She's pretty much my right hand person and she works with Wayne quite a bit. She's in another mastermind group and all those guys, everybody there has a team underneath them. And really that team underneath them is the ones who are dealing with the fire departments and creating those relationships with them, going to training facilities, being there to support them. And our three things that we specialize in, our hedgehog principle per se is sales service training. And that's how we're able to do everything that we do.
Yeah. So what I hear in that and the way that you answered the question, you're really focused on empowering those leaders and having them start to carry the flag of the company and or
Spread
the
that web.
fire helmet, whatever. Right. And that's common where a business has a very dynamic, outgoing, sometimes hard driving founder leader like your dad, who is able to get everything through their own energy and drive and spread the word and get out there and sell. And then well, not every company makes this transition. Sometimes there is no transition, but what you're working to do with your dad's help, with the help of other people, is develop this strong group of leaders who are empowered and help carry the company forward and multiplying the impact you can make because no longer just one person being the one to drive it all. So
Yeah, absolutely. And in one of the things now I'm getting even more into it as I'm in business builders, but one of the big things that business builders helped me with is that if a company relies on one person, that is not a strong business. So how do we get away from that? And we're just now about a year of creating this leadership team. So it's been really cool to see the development of that. And we're just getting started with it.
You mentioned AmeriCorps, and I think AmeriCorps and the time you spent there, you left the family business, you left Dayton, you went out into the wider world and was part of these teams and were working in some environments like wildland firefighting or living in, I don't know, dorm housing with people from all over, very, very different personalities, et cetera, and having to learn how to work together. You've told me some of these things when we've been together one on one. But I think that's partially the value you bring to our group too, is some of that experience. And I think you're bringing that to your business. What are some of the things you learned there? If you were to say like three things that I learned in AmeriCorps that are helpful in the business world, what comes to mind?
Probably number one is working with people that maybe you don't have the same morals with, or maybe you don't even get along with, in figuring out how to still make it work for the team and to be successful. Because you don't pick the people that you're on a team with, you're just kind of stuck with them. People from all different backgrounds, and it's totally normal for people to have different morals, to have different things that motivate them in all this stuff. And so that's probably the number one thing is being able, and I've been in sports and stuff my entire life, but even through sports, you don't get that because I was never on a sports team where I was with women or with people from all different types of backgrounds. I mean, there's always people in Ohio in my area. So that was probably one of the biggest things. And then number two is that in AmeriCorps, wherever you go, you're at the bottom of the barrel in every business that you work with. So getting that experience of what is it like be at the bottom of the totem pole, and what was I and the people on my team looking for from the people that we were working for, looking from the community. And you could take the good examples and the bad examples, but who were the people that motivated us, that made us feel good, that made us happy to be there? And then who were the people that made it not so good? Or what were the things that they did that made it so you didn't enjoy coming to work? And that kind of leads me to my third thing is that through that, it's made me realize the opportunity that I had
Hmm.
when my dad asked me to come back to the business. Is holy moly, we now have 28 employees, and I know what it was like to not enjoy being at work, especially when I was in AmeriCorps. I mean, we got a stipend. So I think even in the most that we were making, it was like $1,000 a month, maybe $1,300 a month. So it's not like, I'm doing a job that I don't like because the money. You're doing a job that you don't like and you're not paid. So I realized the opportunity that I had in the lives that I could impact because 29 employees. How can we make it so people enjoy their job? What are the things that we need to do so when people come to work, they're happy to come to work? Or we're also in a tremendous business where we're directly impacting people's lives, the health and safety of their communities. So, kind of those three things were the biggest learning lessons.
You're in this family business that your dad really grew. What would you want other family business moms, dads, if they have a child, son or daughter who is in the business, considering coming into the business, what would you want to say to them?
Yeah, this seems to be a golden rule in every family business coach, family succession planner, anybody who's been in family businesses. And my sister agrees because we talked about this and she didn't have this opportunity. You you have to go somewhere where nobody knows your name for at least a year before you come into the family business. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to realize really a lot of things I just said, the opportunity that you have in front of you. And Also, one of the big things too is for whoever's the business owner, whoever's that parent who owns it, that kid's going to be able to bring back fresh ideas to
Mm.
help inject to your business. It goes on both ends. Luckily my dad was open to a lot of things that I was doing, but when you send your child to do that, be open to the ideas they bring back and let them fail. I failed plenty of times, and those learning lessons are just as powerful as the successful ones. So that's what I would say is if you're in a family business, especially if it's similar to me. I mean, I grew up in Oakwood. I now live in Kettering, which is a bordering city to Oakwood. So I know I'm still going to the same places that I went to as a kid. But that 2 years while I was away where nobody knew who I was, like I could be Spencer. I could figure out who I was myself. And that time of nobody knowing my name and just being another person was huge.
That's really good. I was going to ask you what you would say to then the children, but you really answered that, like for both people. So I appreciate that. Now, last question: what are some of the challenges that you're facing? So there's good stuff, and you got this leadership team, but what's some of the stuff that's hard that you're trying to figure out?
Yeah. Number one is obviously that I'm now the president of Howell Rescue Systems. So, and we talked about it a little bit. The number one thing, and I'm working on it still, I'm getting better at it, is uh, being comfortable with understanding that I'm the young guy, that I'm daddy's son, and that people aren't always going to appreciate that. And that's okay. You know, it gives you the opportunity to embrace that, become better, and you're always going to be in that shadow. So it's changing your mindset on that of not looking at that as a negative. I've had plenty, I mean, I'm sure all the people in our business as well, when I'm coming in, oh, daddy's boy is coming back. What's he going to do? And struggling with that. And then number two is that it's a family business. I'm very close with my family. My dad calls me at least 3 times a day, even when he's not at work. My sister does the same thing. It's really, and this was a hard part, is not looking at the bad things of what your sister and what your dad or your parent or your siblings do. I'm struggling with it. I still am working on it. I'm so much better from where I was at, but my sister's the vice president and my dad's the owner. And I don't talk to them as owner and vice president all the time. I talk to them as sister and owner and sister and dad when I don't always, when it's not always appropriate. And so balancing that out, being able on a Saturday when I'm hanging out with them to not talk about work, like, can we just get away from this? And one of the things that I'll just say in some of the advice, if anybody is my age or in the family business listening to it, is that I came to the point of how lucky am I? My relationship with my sister, my relationship with my dad, with my mom, with my sister's husband has never been better. It's been changing that of this opportunity that I have. If I get to be with my sister, I get to be with my dad, I get to be with my family more now than ever. And I'm one of those people where family is super important to me. I mean, the most important thing I would say probably in my life. And what a golden opportunity that I get to grow that relationship, not just as a sister, but through business. And a business relationship is different. And in growing through that, it just adds another layer to our bond that we have, which has been awesome.
That's great. Thanks for spending this time with us. And I think for all of us that are out on the road, motoring, so to speak, the work that you do in the world with bringing the best rescue technology, none of us want to have to be the person who benefits from it, but it could happen. And we're glad that firefighters are getting good tools. You said sales, so we want them to have the best tools if they need it for us or a loved one. And service, yeah, better be batteries, better be charged, and
Yeah.
it better be able to work. And the training part, and you mentioned a little bit that Shelby is heading up Crash Course Village, and you've created this school basically where people can come learn the tools. We appreciate what you're doing for the world, and I appreciate having you in the Business Builders Group and your unique perspective that you bring to it all. How can people get connected with you, and how can they learn more about Genesis, Howell, Crash Course Village?
We're on Facebook, Howell Rescue Systems. I'm on LinkedIn, not on there all the time, but go to those two places and that would be it.
Great. Thanks again for joining us, Spencer.
Yeah. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you for tuning into the Business Builder Way podcast. If this episode spoke to you, click that subscribe button and share it with a friend. That's how this message gets out into the world. If it is helpful for us to have a short conversation, I'd love to do that. Send me an email at wayne@businessbuildercamp.com.